And hi, everybody. Welcome to Rick Snider's Washington on YouTube. Let me move over a little bit. Where you get the whole story. So please like, share, subscribe, comment, and hit the thanks button. I'm a couple minutes early, so let me just run down some things for people to get in. Next Monday is Christmas. So we're not doing this on Christmas. I'll probably do it Tuesday, the day after. But Christmas and Easter, I do not work. So whatever you see up there, I filed early and not worrying about the rest. And so, all right, first person's in, and it is Steve scores at the wire here. So, hey, Steve, good to see you. I don't know how many people are coming. Last week we had a pretty good crowd. So, I don't know if the things are going lower or not. I do grades on Twitter and YouTube afterwards. Hey, David, Merry Christmas to you too. And Todd, oh, you guys are all filing in quickly. Okay. Grievance capitalist. All right. Like that. So anyway, I was just saying, no Monday show next week. We'll do it Tuesday because Christmas, and I'm sure my grandkids will have plans for me to do. Hi, Bryce is in. Okay, I see you. So, hey, last week was it last week or 2 weeks ago? We raised $200 for the toy drive for kids. I worked it off this list of uh, wishes from autistic families. There was 1,000 wishes on that list when it started, and I got to tell you, it was cleared out. And we did 7 families, which was great, but 1,000 wishes, and they were all fulfilled. That's just awesome for Christmas. And that's next week. I got 4 grandkids between 3 and 8. Christmas is a big deal around here. I thought today, what am I getting for Christmas? I thought there's nothing I want. Pretty much, you get to a certain age, you know. Well, anything I want, I could go buy. So um, I don't know. I'll see what I get. Usually I get clothes, so you'll notice something I'm wearing different next week. Uh, get old, nobody cares anymore. So it's all about kids. So I was just happy that we were part of that 1,000 wish that was fulfilled. The other day I was working with my church. Target donated 126 turkeys. I put a video up about it. So we drove around 126. I did a dozen uh, turkeys, and it helped. I mean, it's nice to be able to help people out this time of year. So I hope you can help others too. Uh, okay, Christopher, I guess gets the first question, but he appreciates everything. I appreciate everybody coming. I know it's not easy to come talk Commanders when they're getting the heck beat out of them every week. There's 5 straight losses now, 4-10 season. My old partner at the Washington Times, David Elfin, sent me a note today that said, since Gibbs' first retirement, this team has had 15 10 plus losing 10 plus losing, let me try to say 10 losses or more per season in 15 of the 31 seasons, half. Where the 31 years before Gibbs came here, they had 2. Now some of those were 14 game seasons, so it obscures it a little, but just shows you half the seasons have had 10 losses or more. Man, it's tough to stay with this team. I get that, and they're down 20-0 to the Rams, and I thought Brissett did a nice job coming in scoring twice. And for a moment, I thought, gee, could they actually steal this game? And then some really awful clock management ruined them. And Rivera said today, well, we tried to get the plays in as fast as we could. That's not it. That wasn't what did it. It was stupid plays like running straight ahead 2 straight times when you couldn't bust a great ball game trying to do that. And you wasted minutes there, and they never got a chance to even tie the game. That was poor play calling and poor clock management by this team. And I put the coaches all on that. But now Brissett did. People were saying, well, they blocked better for Brissett. No, it's a totally different game at 20-0 later in the game than it is earlier. But Brissett did a nice job. And if I had my druthers, I'd start him this week and give Bryce a week off because I'm Bryce a week off. Sam Howell a week off because Sam is, I think, just regressing. I think he's tired. The whole team is tired, it seems. And Sam is just kind of dwindling down. Really wouldn't hurt to give him a week off. And Rivera said today that if they were in a playoff chase, he might consider switching quarterbacks, but they're not. They're eliminated. So Sam is still the guy. And Brissett's not the future. I mean, Sam's the right guy to be playing. It's just you get a little tired of this downward spiral. But Brissett's on a 1 year deal, so nothing says he even comes back here next year. And as we all get three Mondays from now, we have a special show. It's called Black Monday when everybody calls and we talk about who got fired. We all know who's getting fired. Although it's funny in DC, there's a coach who's 4-21, and they one of the odds makers sent me a note today saying he's the favorite to be the first coach fired in the NBA. Wes Unseld Jr. 4-21. They don't talk anything about that. Talk about a new stadium and all, new arena, all this stuff. Wes hadn't gotten anything out of them. They don't play defense. The Wizards give up like 140 points a game. Just ridiculous. All right, I know that was basketball. Um, the Grievance Capitals. Interesting name. It's going to be more pain before it gets better. I don't know if it's going to get any more painful after the season because they're going to finish like 4-13 unless they beat the Jets. The Jets are going to be playing a third string quarterback probably. There's no way on God's green earth that they should allow Aaron Rodgers to play. They're out of the playoffs. It's pressing it to come back this early. Suppose he gets hurt again. That's a huge investment. So if he's playing, it means to me that Aaron Rodgers is running the team because no way I'd ever let him come back. So if Washington can't beat a third string quarterback, oh gee, let me think. Have we talked about this before? you know, I just think they're out of gas. Another interesting stat that came out. Montez Sweat is leading the Bears now in sacks. He also still leads the Commanders in sacks. Has any player ever led two teams in the same year in sacks? And I asked a buddy of mine, Dan Daly, who's a big historian. He was like, "Wow, I hadn't even thought of that one." He was going to look it up. I don't think it's happened. So that also says, "Would you let Montez go for?" But that's another story. Would I put Antoine Johnson in my top 25 of all ACC players? Asked Alexander. No, nice player. I did a pizza show last week. Go back and look at the files. A buddy of mine, Mike Ashley, is another longtime ACC guy. So am I. We went down to somebody picked an all ACC. We disagreed with some of it. And the joke is always, who's the last person to hold Michael Jordan under 20 points a game? Dean Smith. If you don't know who Dean Smith is, it was his coach in college. And they had a great team. It's just they spread the ball more. Michael became a great pro player. But when I put him first team all ACC, Len Bias was second team. I put Len first over Michael in college. Can't do pros, obviously. Grievance, you're talking about the rest of the season. Well, I don't know if it gets any worse, Grievance. They've lost 5 straight and 2 45-point efforts there. And I guess it can, but I think everybody's numb to it at this point. So everybody just kind of wants the season to end, including, I think, the players. The bad thing about that late buy is I think it took the gas out of them altogether. And it's like, oh, it's been a long season, not going anywhere. Maybe I come back and play 4 more games. All right. I think that's how it kind of looked to me the other day. Oh, you'll hear people talk about professionalism and all this stuff. Bunch of bull. 90% of what you hear players say are pre-programmed crap. That's why I don't quote players much anymore or coaches because I've just heard it. I've been doing this 45 years. And yes, I am going to come back next season as long as somebody pays me. And we'll be covering a team next year. I decided, yeah, why not? What else have I got to do? I give it 100% of my attention because I don't get now either. But I'm going to do another year. I've been saying that for about 5 years now. Dom, please bring back Crust Mondays. No, I decided to stop. And for those of you who don't know, on Twitter, whenever the team was getting no touchdown, when they got a touchdown, they got free toppings on pizza at one time. And so they got shut out a few times, and I would call it Crust Monday because you didn't get any toppings. You had just eat the crust and like it. And I even have that on Twitter. I've never used it. I just didn't want anybody else to use it. So I squatted on the name. But I'm not. It had its moments. It was funny for a while. We beat it to death. But I appreciate you asking. Have I ever seen a secondary this and that? Says Robert. Well, you thought they were hanging in there, and then they opened the second half, and boom, Rams just beat them for a 62-yarder. So they're pretty bad. I mean, I don't think Fuller gets re-signed. And Forbes plays 6 snaps for your first rounder because they decided Quan Martin offered a better matchup. Quan Martin was awful the first half of the year. He barely played. Now all of a sudden he's better than the first rounder. I'm not saying Forbes is a bust, but he's barely played. He got thrown out of one game early, 6 snaps here, lost another 3 to an injuries. What a bad year this has been for him. I said it when they drafted him. I didn't like the pick. Joel, he wrote to Joe Gibbs years ago. He would write me back. You think he would be worth money? Nah. Because, I mean, it's not like you got the only Joe Gibbs autograph. And you can't sell that. It's a personal letter from Joe to you. You got to take that to the grave and donate it to your son afterwards. Scotty, what story are you most proud of breaking and how did it happen? Um, well, my first big scoop was in 1985 in the Washington Times, where I wrote that the local high school was going to be sanctioned for recruiting players illegally for the basketball team, which was really good. That was my first big break. My boss just said, "You better be right." But a board of education member called me and said, "Write the story. We're doing this tomorrow." And that's because I tipped him from several coaches calling me about illegal recruiting. Happened then, happens now. But that was kind of cool. I mean, I'd like to say that Milstein wasn't getting the Redskins. I was way ahead of everybody on that one. And that was a big defining moment in my career, maybe a nationally known writer. And that was all from a lot of hard 18-hour endless days that, you know, and just that was an impossible story to cover, and yet I did. So I was pretty happy with that one. Blow my own horn. But you asked. Okay, Todd. Eric Montrose. I did not know him, uh, but certainly saw him play ball, and that was such a sad thing to see. He died today at 52. Some of you may not have heard last week, Bob Dahl, who played for the Redskins back in the 90s, also passed away last week. And then, of course, Frank Wycheck died. He played 2 years for the Redskins, and they said he fell at his home, and they didn't have any other details about it. But they just found him, and he was gone. So terrible week for that. Around the holidays, man, people try and hang on for the holidays, and then people die in droves after. I get it. Old people don't want to sadden everybody dying at the holidays. It's a true thing. Um, let's see. Do I think Jacoby Brissett should start the rest of the season? No, I would throw him against the Jets and then let Sam come back. Come back refreshed and try those last 2 games, which I figure are just going to be probably bad losses. Still don't understand Danny Johnson being let go, says Thomas Harrison. Yeah, me either. I was kind of surprised. They picked up a guy off of waivers that, I don't know. And like I said, this coaching staff and front office isn't going to be here in a few weeks. We all have known this forever, and it's on their faces now too. So why do these kind of things? I mean, because you should. Well, if you feel you should, go ahead. But I don't see why you cut Danny Johnson, especially when you don't have a great secondary and he's helped some. What happened to high school reporting in the area? It's almost non-existent, says Alexandra. That's true. Several papers have closed. There used to be several dailies that covered high school sports, and they don't anymore except the Post, and the Post barely does. And the Post is now under a mandate to become a national newspaper and forget local reporting. So they do very little high schools. I started out my first 7 years of my career. Believe it or not, I started at 18. That's why I'm the longest sports writer in DC at 45 years. I covered high schools for 7 years before I got a break and moved up. And that used to be the way all of us in the business, y'all. Everybody started in high schools. Nobody started colleges. Or pros. Forget that. You had to work your way up. Not anymore. That's a shame. The local and when the Post conceded high school sports years ago, they said, "Well, the suburban weekly, twice weekly papers will all cover it." They're gone mostly. Mostly they're gone. Some websites, but you don't see much anymore. It's a real shame. That's where people were supposed to get their training and learn. I remember one season it rained 9 out of 10 Friday nights covering games. It was miserable, but you got better for it. You made your mistakes in the bottom leagues and nobody saw you do it. You got better. Tony, who did Jacoby piss off to be continually snubbed? Are we talking about Jacoby Brissett there? Or, oh no, I'm sorry, we're talking about Joe Jacoby there. Yeah, I mean, listen, I did not like Joe Jacoby personally because he treated me badly. But I don't have a vote, so it doesn't matter what I think. But he and Bostic were jerks. May was a great guy. Grimm, I loved. But Boston and Jacoby were jerks. And but that said, firmly believe Joe Jacoby should be in the Hall of Fame. The thinking is that he wasn't as good because Gibbs used tight ends on the outside to block over there. Anybody who watched the games knows that's not true at all. I think Jacoby will make the Hall of Fame one day, maybe in the next 5 years. Charles, the farming guy, interesting name. The gas has gone out of the tank after the loss of the Bears. Yeah, that was a big one there. The Giants loss, that was a tough one too. I think really hurt the team. Um, Todd says he's got Eric's classic 1994 basketball rookie card. All right, I got a few basketball cards from the 70s. I don't know if they're worth anything. I used to collect cards when I was a kid, so I have a few. I don't know, I got them in a big box. And are they worth anything? I don't know. But I gave somebody a card and they wanted it. And I said, okay. And later said, man, that was great. I sold it for $80. Really? You didn't even split it with me or anything? Sure. Uh, let's see. Mr. TMR is in the house. Hopes I cover the team till the 100th anniversary in 2032. Well, I would be 72 years old, and that would be a new stadium we'd be in. Here's the thing with the stadium. What I've gathered, I don't think a new stadium will open until 2030, and I don't think they're going to make an announcement for at least another year or so, probably 2025. The interesting thing, if that Wizards Capitals arena goes through in Virginia, and I'd like to think it will, but who knows? You never know till you see dirt moving. I always say don't believe anything till the bulldozers show up. But if they do, Virginia's out of the game for getting a Commander Stadium. So that leaves DC versus Maryland. I think DC wins. DC obviously has $500 million to give away to sports teams. So, yeah. So I think that'll happen eventually. Will I be still around? Well, if I'm feeling good enough to cover this team at age 72, I'll be there. I pretty much just figured I'll just keep going, and unless my health goes. Trust me, you never know how that's going to happen. I've had a heart attack at Redskin Park years ago. We never saw it coming. 2 years ago, I was laying on my kitchen floor, couldn't move half my body. Thought it was a stroke. Turned out to be a disc in my back. It's not, knocked on wood, bothered me since. So you never know about health, man. I take every day and appreciate it. It's what my prayers are about. Please let me be okay today. If you've not had good health in your life, you understand what I'm saying. If you've not had troubles in your life, congratulations, keep going. How do you expect any quarterback to succeed behind that? Says Mojo. Yeah, he's only been sacked 59 times now. We're off the 100 sack total list. Notice that all of a sudden? He's not getting sacked as much at least. He's not getting beat to death. Oh, got something to show you. So I was at a family Christmas party Saturday night, and a cousin of mine said, "Hey, did I give you the Win Damn It doll?" And I'm like, "What are you talking about?" Well, this is it. It's a Win Damn It doll for the burgundy and gold, and the other side it says if they're bad, hit it whenever whenever bad. And so I was like, really? They have them for all the teams. Turns out. So this says your team's getting creamed and you just want to scream. Here's a Win Damn It doll that you can't do without, and grab it firmly by the legs and find a place to slam it. And as you whack the stuffing out, yell, "Win, damn it, damn it." So there you go. It's actually called Damn It, DAMMIT dolls.com. So if you want to go get one, I don't get anything for this, but you go, well, at least you'd have to buy a dozen of these a year. But, I just thought it was funny. My cousin gave it to me. Whenever my cousins all see me at Christmas, they want to talk Commanders or Redskins. And this year they saved me. It wasn't quite so bad. Alexander, what's the next pizza place going to go? Haven't decided yet. Buddy of mine wants to do a vegan pizza and bring it over to the house and do it. So maybe we do that. I know, but he's a friend of mine, so we'll try it. Maybe it'll be okay. Any insight on how the front office is going to be fired, JMZ? Not exactly. I just figure it's going to be pretty mass exodus. But I've heard talk about maybe Jason Wright is staying, maybe my old cohort Marty Herney, who I worked with at the Washington Times 40 years ago, might be, they might be staying. I said maybe they don't do a whole purge. And Alton Beal does ask, what's Marty Herney do for this team? Well, he's basically a scout more than anything, like head of scouting, I guess you could say. He's always on the road, mostly. So looking at players. Do I have an exercise routine? Never give up? Well, yeah, I go 1, 2, 1, 2. I do a lot of walking. That's my biggest thing. And I do stretching most days because of that back disc. Um, I went to therapy and they taught me a lot of ways to stretch. It seems that your lower back is connected like your whole body. So they make you do a lot of stretching totally away from the back, legs, hamstrings. So I do a lot of that too. I don't really lift weights much anymore. I got bored with it. I started lifting weights when I was 14. And I got tired of it. It takes a village to keep this body going. Matthew, is Josh Harris transparent with fans this offseason? I don't think so. Maybe give him a timeline for a stadium. I don't know if they'll do that. I did not like that Josh Harris sent out ticket renewals right before Christmas with an 8% increase. Dude, you got an awful team here. They just had a 4% increase last year. I know you spent $6 billion on the team. I respect that. They need your money. But wait till after Christmas before you do that. I thought it was a bad look. Magic Johnson at the game. That's right, Joel. He was there because he lives in LA. That was an easy one. Don, going to be in Southern Maryland next week. Who has the best crab cake sandwich? Well, the best one, they're closed for the winter, which is Captain Billy's. What's the best crab cake sandwich down here? We just talked about that the other day. Oh man, I'm gonna have to think about that. I'm sorry. Maybe they don't do crab cake sandwiches. I have to think about that, Don. Why don't you, send me a email and I'll get back to you. If you do a comment under some story on the YouTube page, I'll see it, and then after I think about it, I'll get back to you on it. If you buy me one, I'll meet you. Let's see. All right, troll dolls. Oh yeah, the troll dolls, Joe. I have daughters. I remember they had those. Mike H. No problem about health. I'm always glad to help people. That's kind of why I'm probably still here, is to help others. Like if you take a statin, a lot of you guys, most of my followers are older men. If you have to take a statin, let me give you one piece of advice. Took me years and pain to learn. And a nurse finally said one day, well, take the statin before you go to bed, but you have to take the aspirin at least an hour before. And that prevents the hot flashes that you get. And let me tell you, it hurts. Those things hurt. So take your baby aspirin thing an hour before you take the statin. Lou, you mentioned Richard Hedbone didn't want to be head coach. That's true. He liked being an assistant head coach. And he knew what kind of team he was getting, which was the crash and burn. That team got old real quick. Richie knew it. He knew he couldn't win with it. He grinned and bared it for a year. And then Cook paid him the last year of his contract and then said, I'm giving you an extra year's salary. Stay out of the league. That was the deal. And Richie retired. Guillermo, thank you so much for the money. I haven't even begged anybody yet, but Guillermo was there. Thank you so much. If you hit that dollar sign underneath here, like down here somewhere, whatever you call it, that's the thanks button. And it's kind of like a tip jar. A lot of artists use it during the pandemic because they couldn't perform live. And I use it to try and say, well, this is why I give people an hour at the end of 2 long days. So it's Christmas time, you bunch of Grinches. If you'd like to throw some money to me and wish me a well, so I can buy my own crab cake sandwich when when somebody comes around, Don comes around, I will appreciate it. That's why I'm here, to help you guys out. Mr. TMR, I always thought the Redskins won Super Bowl 18 over the Raiders. Joe, Jacoby, and Redskins would be in the Hall of Fame. Joe would have to be because he would have 2 Super Bowl wins. People talk about, I think Joe gets a bad rap in a way. Who's the all-time winningest Redskins quarterback? Joe Theismann, 85 wins. How many does Doug have? 5. Now, 3 were in the playoffs and 1 was a Super Bowl. But the next year he got hurt. He won 5 games. People talk about Doug Williams mythically, and they don't give Joe any credit. Joe won 85 games and a Super Bowl and lost one. And Jacoby should be on too. I think it would have definitely raised them. I mean, they weren't all part of it. Jacoby's got a couple rings there, but or does he have 3? I forget. He might have 3. Johnny went to Largo High. I covered Largo High when I was a high school writer. Wife went to Parkdale, which I didn't cover. All the pretty girls went to Parkdale. Go-go music was played at a prom. Well, okay. Wow, you guys are younger than me. The mess they made with the dance team and the go-go squad's hard to handle. Well, they had to do something a little more conservative. I mean, I think the team is the women on the sideline are basically the cheerleaders. Are just dressed more conservatively now than looking like they were club girls. But they're doing the same dances and cheers. And then they do stuff in the end zone at times with some of the men around who are really, really athletic. Those dudes can jump around. It's all part of a younger thing, I think, with people. So, they don't bother me any. Tony, CD Cafe in Solomon's. Okay, that's a nice place. Crab cakes, but it's Southern Maryland too. You have to go over the bridge to get there, but we tend to think of Southern Maryland more, St. Mary's and Charles. But yeah, it is Calvert. I guess that would qualify. Mojo, look at Sam's body of work this season. Imagine we could do behind a halfway decent line. Deserves another season. I'm writing about this kind of thing now. I don't know. I think Sam is on the team next year because you have 2 more years of a rookie deal. Absolutely keep him, because if you go with a first-round pick as quarterback, there's nothing to say that person's going to be ready or going to be any good. Look around the league. You see that. So you would want to have Sam there ready to go. Sam's got a good attitude about life. And if they get in the top 2 or 3 picks, they might go quarterback. I'm not a Caleb Wilson guy at all, but they might have to do that or trade down. The Raiders really want a quarterback. It's at 6. Sucker them into taking your 4th. You're only going down 2. They take a quarterback you don't want. You can still get that offensive tackle body. We'll talk about this a million times between now and April. But they may, they have a path to get to the number 2 pick. It's, it's incumbent upon some other things happening. But if they lose out, at worst they're 4, and maybe they're 2 or 3. Robert, the TV guy with B. Mitch and Santana is so annoying. Who is that, by the way? I forget. I didn't recognize him right off. I'm sure all of y'all know who he is, but I don't pay attention enough to worry about it. Rick couldn't beat the Jets 3-0 at RFK. That's right, Joel. I remember that game because it was the coldest game I've ever covered, I think. I was at the RFK press box, end of the season. We had no heat in the press box there or AC. It was Spartan. It was so cold. I was down to type with 2 fingers, halfway crying and just praying I could make it to finish the story so I could go to my car and turn on the heat. Man, that was a cold day. Never give up. Doug had an outstanding Super Bowl run. He did. Regular season, yeah, not too much. He got hurt the next year on a treadmill. It's a story. And so he didn't really have much left. And he was near the end of his career anyway. But I like Doug. Doug is an A1 class guy. Still see him once in a while. I have the highest regard for Doug as a person. And he was, a good quarterback. He got wasted some years in Tampa, playing for our expansion team, getting beat up. But Doug had, would have had a better career then. But he got beat to death. Mike, can we get a custom NFL feed with 10 different games? Cheerleaders number 1. Yeah, I used to sit next to a writer. He's passed away years ago. But he would be with his binoculars. He goes, "Whoa, did you see that?" And I'm thinking, they're not playing. What? He was looking at the cheerleaders. So, let's see. The 4th pick is weird. That's true. First 3 could be quarterbacks. And what do? We go for an offensive tackle is what you go. I mean, they could use a tight end badly. They could use an edge guy. They could use a bunch of stuff. But you go with the offensive tackle, or this fan base will melt down. Todd, Brian Colbert Jr. Okay, I don't know. Mike, Channel 2 is the sidelines with coordinators. Okay, they kind of would bore you, I think, after a while. Steve, need to get the best left tackle you can get. I would definitely go with that. I would go with that over any offensive tackle would be my first choice. Alton, what was Clint Didier like? I didn't really know Clint that well. Just I was a kid around that time. Him and Donnie Warren. Donnie Warren's a cool guy. I haven't, and I've seen Donnie Warren, in his retirement. I haven't ever met Clint like that. There's great teams in the '80s. I was in my 20s, so I was kind of a punk kid back then. I was kind of like, okay, can I ask you a question? And Butts would go, no, go away. And Britt go, they were not an easy bunch to work with. And maybe I was younger, so they thought they could mess with me. So my memories of great teams, hard days in the locker room. What team do I think would win the 2019 Jay Gruden's 3-13 with Case at quarterback with the rookie Terry versus this year's team? I don't know, Sizzle. You got my head going too much with that. Hit it again for me. DC Mark 202. Why do DMV fans believe the players are better than they are? Because that's what we focus on. And as a fan, you want to hope that things are better. I mean, why would you want to hope things are worse? Yeah. Johnny Blaze, Kevin Glover. I covered Kevin Glover as Largo. He's on the track team too. So I covered that team where Rocco Romeo was the coach. Always remember, man, that's going back to 1978 or 79. So, do I think it's the end of Ron's coaching career? Abe asked. Yeah, I do. I mean, partly because I think that's what Ron's going to want. Ron's had a tough few years, his health and all these other things. I could see Ron going to work for the league and being able to do things, or maybe a front office. But I don't think he'll be a head coach again. If we beat the Jets, do we move to number 9, Mojo? I haven't counted it up since. I'm not expecting anybody to win, so I'll go looking at that. I only have so much time to look at things. First game ever for Troy was October 2nd, 1978. Okay, I remember it now. I don't remember that game. Skins beat Dallas by a weird score. Oh, you were 6 years old. Okay, that was this fall after I graduated high school. So I don't remember things like that very well. I'd have to get a box score out to maybe remember it. Todd, Tony, 9 to 5 Monday Night Football, 1978. Okay, you didn't watch the game on YouTube. We all know that. Steve, Theismann gave him a safety at the end. Yeah, that was one of weird plays. That Raiders game in the Super Bowl, man. Washington got his butt kicked on that one. Let's just be honest. That was a butt kicking of a day. What do I think of Babe Laufenberg? Did I ever give up? I liked Babe, and I thought he had some potential, but they didn't seem to want to worry about it. And he had a nice preseason. He was like one of the first of those preseason flashes that we always talk about. We've had so many of them over the years, and people want to love them, and then they don't turn out to be anything, or they don't get a chance. And Babe didn't get a chance, but he's done very well. He's in Dallas now, doing a lot. He's had a good career, in what he's done. Wow, caught up to you. Okay. Oh, 8:30. We're halfway through the show. There you go. If you are watching, if you're late to the show, it does repeat itself. It's on YouTube all the time. So when we're done, give it a few minutes. You can see the beginning of the show, if you like. So, and if you're watching on replay, and more people do watch on replay than watch live. Usually tonight we'll do about 200 people, and then about another 200 to 300 will watch on replay. So if you do, you can still hit that thanks button and donate money to the cause, which is me. And okay, Mike, there you go, Mike. That's the way to respond. Thank you so much, by the way. Best John Reagan story? Okay, it's off the field. Well, most of them are. But there was a time when he and Sam Huff almost got into it in a parking lot. I think I've told this story once before, but it's around. Sam came as a broadcaster, would come to practice and watch the game. And usually, I remember this day, he was watching the offensive lineman. I mean, Sam and I were good friends. Sam would come up to me and go, "Hey, Rick, you're looking good. What are you up to now? 300, 300 and a quarter?" I just wanted to smack Sam, but I knew if I did, it would not go well. But at the end of practice out in the parking lot, Rigo gets into Sam and says, "Hey, what are you looking at me for?" Sam's like, "I'm not looking at you. I'm watching the lineman." But you're not backing Sam Huff off ever. And Rigo presses the point, and Rigo says, "You think you can take me down? You think you can tackle me?" I think at this point, Sam was in his 50s. And they were going to do it right there in the parking lot, right there at the old Redskin Park. And cooler heads took them, separated them. So Rigo was ready to start a fight with Sam, and I got news for Rigo. Rigo was a tough guy, but Sam was the toughest of the guys. That wouldn't have gone well for either of them. So it's one Rigo. Rigo once said of hot dog eating contests, what I've been told, 22 hot dogs when we were over Carlisle. And I was going to try and beat that one day, but I went to the place and they were smaller hot dogs. They weren't the big ones. But I said, is this with buns or not? And nobody could say. And I thought, I could do 22 hot dogs, but I couldn't do it with the buns. So I didn't. And the next week I had a massive heart attack. So thank God I didn't pull that off. That might have been enough to put me over the edge. So yeah, I did have a heart attack at Redskin Park. And luckily, Bubba Tyre, the trainer, saved my life. And I had to have open heart and all that jazz. Here's a funny story. Open heart. All right. So a year and a half later, I do have to have open heart from all this. And they told me, listen, you're good for 20 years with this, with a bypass. So I saw my doctor recently and I said, you know what? I hate to say this, but the 20 years is up in February. Am I going to have to go through this again? And my doc, who's a well respected doctor, says, nah, we just say that. Most of these people are older. They're dead before 20 years from age. I thought, okay. She said, take care of yourself. I can't, this isn't forever, but as long as you take care of yourself, you're okay. Man, that was just, it's funny how these things come out sometimes. Mojo wants to know if Caps and Wiz leaving open for RFK. Yeah, now the Caps and Wiz aren't going to leave for about roughly 5 years. But yes, I think it does let DC concentrate on the Redskins. I think it was all going to happen anyway. This just makes it easier. Steve, thank you so much for donating. What's for dessert for Christmas? Oh no, all the grandkids were over yesterday, made Christmas cookies and left some for me. So they're not master bakers yet, but maybe in time. So I don't know. I usually cook every day at home most of the time. My wife and I now, because I have a chef's certificate. Believe it or not, I have a chef's certificate. I have worked in a restaurant and I have written a cookbook. Not that I'm some renowned chef, but Thanksgiving and Christmas, my wife and daughters do, and so I leave it to them. I'm sure there'll be a pumpkin pie or something around. Okay, Tony says that 78 game was Washington 9, Dallas 5. Woo, okay. That is a weird score. Slam and Jammin's here tonight. All right. We reached the point it doesn't matter how well or poor Sam does, the new regime will take a new quarterback. I have no idea because I don't know who the next next GM and coach are. They may love Sam. They may hate Sam. Chances are they're going to hate Sam. Everybody always wants their own guy that they can build and they can claim they made this guy great. So I wouldn't like Sam's chances given that. I hate to say that, but it's true. Mojo, how close were the Hogs? I heard about the 5 o'clock club, but did they really hang out outside of football? Yeah, oh, yeah. Still do. They're still good friends, a lot of them. That was a tight group. What was your favorite recipe or dish with Old Bay? I often ask. Man, somebody sent me something today. It was a butter with Old Bay. I'd never seen that. I have Old Bay on top of ice cream sundae. They serve here at a place called Texas Ribs in La Plata, Maryland. It's a regular sundae kind of thing, but they sprinkle Old Bay on top of of it all, and it gives you kind of a kapow at the end, which I like that. I mean, I like crabs with Old Bay, obviously. I don't sit around all day drinking Old Bay and eating it, but I am an Old Bay fan more than Jo. I'm not a Jo. Doesn't do anything for me. Always, and I think they're made by the same company, but I just like Old Bay better. Old Bay Chex mix over the weekend. Ooh, all right, Abe. I mean, I'm not fanatical about Old Bay, but I do like it. I don't brush my teeth with it, which we say we do in Maryland, but we lie a lot in Maryland. I don't know anybody brushes their teeth with Old Bay, but I do like Old Bay. I like crabs, just plain too. Doesn't matter to me. I didn't get the size being picky over the years. Though I'm a lot smaller than I was, thank God. Okay, we caught up. We got 23 minutes ago. Woo, guys don't have a lot of questions tonight. just if I can hold on to them. So we see they did cut Cameron Cheeseman today. Man, that was well deserved. I mean, that shouldn't have been back this year. Too bad. In the training camp, he was talking about how he was changing his grip on the ball, and I thought, why would you do that? Why would you mess? You have one thing to do, okay? One thing to do. Not like a lot of other players, they got to run different routes or they try this. You got one thing to do: snap the ball. Don't change things. And he did. He got in his head. Boom. So hopefully he gets a chance again somewhere else. They have not signed anybody yet. I expect them to do that Tuesday on it. They're negotiating now. They may already have it, but I think we'll hear about it tomorrow on all of that. Trying to think of anything else. Nothing else really came out today. No injuries. We didn't hear anything about Trustway today. We'll hear Wednesday about that. Yeah, Ron never wants to talk about an injury until Wednesday. Will fans ever hear who complained about eBay? David asked. Yeah, after January. If I had to throw my money down on the table, I don't think EB is here when this season ends. I think he'll move on to something else. There's a lot that goes into that. We can talk all night, but it's just my gut feeling. And a lot of y'all are out on EB. I've never seen somebody that people love so much and so quickly went the other way since RG3, and that wasn't even the same year. But people were ready to make EB king earlier this year, and now everyone wants to throw him in the dungeon. I think EB's done the best he could. He's made mistakes. We all do. But I think he's, a decent play caller. Can he be a head coach? I like a lot about EB's attitude, old school, work hard, but support people as they go. I think EB could be a good head coach. And maybe he gets a chance, but this place didn't help any. Would Jacoby start the next game, Santiago? No. I mean, today Ron pretty much said, he didn't say it explicitly, Sam will start Sunday, but he more or less said, even after the game, that he was. So I don't think that's going to change, but let's just say maybe suddenly Sam wakes up with a bad shoulder. There's things that happen. They're not all true, but they make them seem true. DC Mark thinks the roster has to be upgraded in almost all areas. I'd say pretty much all areas. Name me a position. Okay, interior defensive lineman. I think they're okay there. Got two big guys you're paying a lot of money to. Other than that, pretty much anything else is up for grabs. Alton. Hey, Alton, by the way, I'm supposed to be delivering a sermon February, Super Bowl day, whatever day that is, February 11th. I was supposed to do it in January, and the church asked me to move it to that. And I thought, well, okay, I can give a sermon at 10 because the Super Bowl is not till 6. So I'll email you about that later. I'm starting to work on it now. They're like, and by the way, the one we were going to have you do, let's have you do something else. Oh, okay. The last one was great, but I help preachers with their sermons. I basically try and teach them how to be interesting and not bore people to death. I'm trying to help Alton now. I don't have to help Alton. He's doing fine. But I do help them. And so one of them in the church said, hey, we're going to be gone. Can you do it this day? I thought, well, Teddy Roosevelt always said that the credit belongs to the man in the arena, not some writer telling them what to say on the side. I thought, take a shot. How bad can it be? I'm not going to send people to hell or nothing. So it'll be online and live, and I will put it up for everybody to come watch. And maybe we can pass the plate. Who knows? All right. How is Richie Pettibone today with his health, Brent? Brent, I haven't seen Richie in several years. Looked good then. Looked older, but he looked okay then. Never give up. The offense has not been that good. Yeah, no running game. I mean, they can't bust a grape running wise. I don't think Gibson comes back just because you're changing coaches, and he was kind of a favorite of Rivera, but then you change coaching philosophies with new guys. I don't see him coming back. Did I hear Josh Harris attending a meet and greet for potential new GM candidates, David? I did not. I would like to know where you heard that from because, any GM, potential GM who's working for another NFL team cannot talk to this team now. You cannot talk to somebody on another team until after the season ends. Their season ends. Not yours. If they make the playoffs, you got to wait. Now, there's some timetables now for things, but So I don't know how there's a meet and greet for that. But maybe it's somebody outside of it. I don't know who they're looking at yet. Kind of waiting another week or so. Wait until after Christmas and figure that out. Mike likes Gibson. It's not about liking the guy or not. It's about coaching philosophies and how he wants to handle the running game. And I just, when you have hybrid players, that means that some coaches like them and some coaches don't. All right, we have about 15 minutes to go before my eyes close for good. I worked pretty much, well, yesterday was a little easier because it was a 4 o'clock game, but I had grandkids all day before the 4 o'clock game. And then some of them came in when I was watching the game in another room. Go, what team we cheering for? I said the one with the white pants, and they're like, oh, okay. And then they left. They were bored. So neither their none of my son-in-laws are football fans. So their kids are not football fans. The league recycles the same coaches. DC Mark, by and large, yes. NFL coaching has become a family tree. Once you hear about coaching trees, they're becoming family trees because coaches make a lot of money now. Even assistants make good livings, and everybody seems to have a son, that they bring into it. Look at all the coaching staffs around the league. How many of these there are? I mean, Marty Schottenheimer had one. Norv's son became one. Shanahan's boys now running at San Francisco. I mean, good. Spurrier didn't. I'll do that. Zorn didn't. I've seen a bunch of them like that. Rivera's got a son that works in the front office. So yeah, it's become a family business even more. It's very hard for new coaches to break in. You've got to do very well in college even, but you got to know somebody to become an NFL coach now. Really do. I don't know if that's a good or bad thing. What do I think of the Bills beating up on Dallas, Joe? Joe, listen, I think if the Bills can make the playoffs, they can win a playoff game. I don't think they can go all the way, but they can win a playoff game. That's a dangerous team. Kind of like the Rams are kind of like that. Kind of interesting how um, there's some teams on the cusp that you got to watch. What you're watching is who is hot in December, January. Now is the time you start looking who's going to ramp it up in the next few weeks. That's who's going to win the Super Bowl. Maybe Kansas City kind of gets out of its own way and gets back to quit moaning and groaning about the refs called the right play on you, but it's still not fair. Oh, please. That's loser talk, So where they go, shake it off. Where is that what Taylor sings? It could still be it. I mean, San Francisco is really good. Miami's good, but I don't think will win the Super Bowl. There's probably half dozen teams that could. So it's who's good. Detroit, I kind of worry about it. Maybe it's kind of falling off the edge a little better. Mojo, there's no quarterback controversy. Jacoby's not the future. True, because he's not even signed for next year. And Sam had a bad game, but he's had a few bad games lately. He's trying to do too much. I think he's worn down. We used to talk about rookies, and Sam's kind of a rookie. This is his first full year. Rookies usually were good till about Thanksgiving and then fall off in December because they weren't used to playing in December. Now, the big schools all pretty much play 15-game schedules, and people are used to playing in December. It's not as much as it used to be, but I think there's still something to it on there. Baltimore, is also one, Mike says. Yeah, Baltimore is looking really good too. And I live in Maryland. And I have nothing against the Ravens. I wish them well on there. I mean, where I live is kind of a battleground area in Southern Maryland, as far as a lot of Ravens fans, a lot of Washington fans. A lot of people in Maryland became Ravens fans because they couldn't get tickets to Redskins games. So here's a new team, and they joined it. That's how Redskins lost a lot of fan base in Maryland. Mr. TMR, did I meet or have any stories of Don Coryell? No, I never got to meet him. And I've just, heard stories from coaches who worked under him, Gibbs, would always speak well of him. And did he make the Hall of Fame last year? Was it last year? Was he up for it? Or it may not still be in. I mean, he was a guy that changed the offense in the NFL to kind of what it is today. He should be in the Hall of Fame for that. That's some great Chargers teams. All right, what we got left? And by the way, thanks to everybody that ordered books last week. I did sign them, send them off. I know a lot of you have gotten them. Hopefully, if you haven't gotten it yet, maybe send me a note about it. But I'm at the post office about that. But I did mail them all off last Monday. All right, and if you want one, I'm done signing them. But you can go to Amazon for the Redskins Commanders book. Okay, Scott, was at the game yesterday. Oh, out in L.A. First one you've been in 20 years. You went to L.A. Look like a dead team walking. Yeah, it's pretty much what I thought. They look like they just don't care if they'll play. You can make them play, but I can't make them care. I didn't see a whole lot of passion in that game. And it's going to get worse because they know they're playing for a coach that won't be here. So they're not going to be held accountable on that end. But you don't play well. Listen, the next coach is looking at all the game film too. He sees what goes on. He sees you when you're sleeping. He knows when you're awake. So don't get on the naughty list playing like, a punk in December because you won't be back next year for goodness sake. I gotta get Santa to come on the show soon. I have to put a note down for that. We'll get Santa to come in. Maybe Andy Reid can make another appearance here at the holidays. I swear, I swear the Chiefs are on TV as one of the main games every week. And, a good team. But, and I'll ask my wife, see, there's Andy Reid. Do I look like that? She goes, yeah. I go, no, I don't. Maybe when I was heavier, but I don't look like Andy Reid. People swear I do. Lots of fans, lost fans to Dan Snider. That's true. Never give up. That's true too. And the losing more than anything. Mike's got a horse that can't drink. I don't know, Mike. What would say there? I'd say this year. I mean, Commanders fans have only owned the stadium really once, and that was the first game against Arizona. After that, there's a couple that were really close, and the rest were opposing teams dominated. In San Francisco, Dallas to come, I expect them to dominate the stadium. Last year, I thought maybe there was 10,000 season ticket holders and about 5,000 would show up at the end. But this year, I think it got up to maybe 15 or so, maybe 20. I know the team will say 25. But, in the best of days, maybe 20,000 Commanders fans are at FedEx. And it's dwindled a lot, of course, given the win. I mean, did you see the Carolina Stadium yesterday? They showed the video at 10 minutes in. There was like no one there. I mean, no one there. Now, it was raining like crazy. It rained 5 inches at my house when that storm got up here. So I get that. You got a one-win team, but you missed a win. That's why you go. Stand in the concourse under the overhangs. Man, there was nobody at that. But, I mean, even here for the last couple games, there might be 10,000 Commanders fans in the stands, and they'll be more or less full, but that's not what you want if you're the owner. Charles, farming guy. Wow, still with me. Thank you, Charles. I think Miami is going to be the Super Bowl, and I think they're going to face off against 49ers. I think the 49ers are going to get there. I think Baltimore might be the team that beats Miami in the AFC. It's going to be interesting. I mean, Baltimore seems to be really, just cruising along now. Not that Miami isn't, but watched Miami play Washington, and they didn't impress me as much as they should have as a dominant team. I mean, beating Washington is not exactly a resume for going to the Super Bowl. All right, we got 10 minutes. So if you'd like to hit the thanks button, I do appreciate that as part of the Christmas time spirit. We've donated a couple shows to local charities, and I'm glad to do that. Now we're getting near the end of the season. I'm not tour guiding any right now because nobody wants to go. It's too cold. Although it's not really that cold in D.C. Never give up. Who's your MVP? Tressway. I mean, okay, if we take out the punter and we have to pick somebody else, then it's Terry McLaurin. I mean, I have to say, if it can't take Terry, who else are we going to then? There isn't anybody on defense I'm picking. So after that, I'd say it's Sam Howell. Like there. Boy, the list is kind of short for players you want to honor on there. I haven't, we'll find out more about Tress on Wednesday, how he's going to do. I don't know. Somebody was saying it was a cheap shot, how he got hit. I don't remember it really being a cheap shot, but maybe because he's on the ground. You only have to touch him. You don't have to hit him. Cheeseman screwed that one up, and now he's gone. So don't have to worry about that. Okay. Anybody here? Okay. I mean, and if you can, hit the thumbs up button for me because the algorithm likes that. It doesn't do anything for me personally, but don't hit the thumbs down button. But the thumbs up button does help the algorithm say, "Ooh, Rick, they like you. We'll show you more." And then that's why I open every show saying, "Please like, share, subscribe, and comment." I'm talking to the algorithm because it needs to hear those words, keywords, and it says, "Oh, thank you," and it sends me to more people watching on the search engine. It's all part of a game. You know, you got to know somebody. Mr. TMR, when is the presidential book being released? I don't think there's going to be a book signing. I am finished. I'm almost done with my book on presidents and drinking. Every president, what's their favorite? I was just going over George Washington's eggnog today. He's got 4 different liquors in that eggnog. So I tell a lot of stories on each president that I can find. There's a few presidents that didn't drink, like right now Biden and Trump weren't drinkers at all. But it's going to be out for St. Patrick's Day. I figured that'd be a good time to bring it out. So mid-March. And I'm hopefully going to finish it soon. I was writing on it today. DC Mark, I'm disappointed that they never established a running game this year. Yeah, I mean, Brian Robinson now 2 years in, haven't seen what I was hoping to see from him. Mike, any stories about Lincoln? Well, Lincoln and drinking. Let's just say that Lincoln was a young man, and the cider out as far as things, take a nip of cider. But as a president, no, he didn't drink at all. I guess he had enough things on his mind. If anybody could use a drink, it would have been Lincoln. Favorite recipe from your cookbook? From my cookbook, and what's called Secrets of Caveman Cooking. You can still buy it on Amazon. I wrote it about 20 years ago, so I don't really remember. We did a lot of weird meats. I had to buy a bunch of unusual meat to have 100 recipes in it. So if you can get it for a few bucks on Amazon, I think. I don't really have many. Am I all in for How's the future quarterback? Never give up. No, I mean, what I thought of Howe is pretty much how it's worked out. I think Sam Howell in his best year could be around number 10 among quarterbacks. His worst year could be in the low 20s. And most years, he's going to be somewhere like 12, 14, 15, in the middle. And that's not a bad thing. And if you've seen the 35 starters on this franchise since their last Super Bowl win, 35 guys have started. I have Sam ranked 4th overall right now. But I don't know that he's the future quarterback long term. Maybe. That's all incumbent upon the next GM and coach willing to give him the chance. And I know how they work. They don't want to take over someone else. They want their own. And as an owner, nothing helps sell tickets like a shiny new quarterback. Doesn't mean they're going to be any good. We've seen that fail enough times. Did Franklin Pierce have a favorite drink? Steve must know his history because Franklin Pierce would drink whatever he could. Whatever you're drinking, he's drinking. That guy definitely drank some stuff. The funny one, like you would think Grant wasn't a drinker as a president. He was, as a young man, he was known for being a drunk. But by the time the Civil War happened, he sobered up pretty well. So I think Grant gets a bad rap at times on this stuff. Teddy Roosevelt, his favorite drink, really surprised me. A mint julep. Seemed kind of too sissy for him. Although the mint julep is a pretty stiff drink. I covered the Kentucky Derby for 20 years. Had a few. It's a serious one. Never give up. Kennedy was a Bloody Mary guy, but wasn't a big drinker on there. But Bloody Marys, I'm not a Bloody Mary guy. I don't like tomato juice. So I do have a lot of this, and I talk about places that they actually drank at. So also some First Lady stories. Martha Washington made a punch that would put you on your butt. And colonial and George Washington, man, one of the big drinkers. But you have to remember in colonial times, the water wasn't as safe. And even kids drank something called cider kin, which was kind of like alcohol and water. And you had to be wary of the water. So they would put alcohol in it to kind of sterilize some things. And colonial people drank 3 times more than we do today. So you have to keep that there. But George could definitely party with the best. So I was just reading the eggnog recipe. You can read it on mountvernon.org, I think it is. Um, he sherry and brandy and whiskey. George was a whiskey guy too. I think the most common drink among presidents, alcoholic, was whiskey. Quite a few of them was their favorite drink. They said FDR could do some drinking too, and they said he would like to be a bartender, but he was a lousy one. People didn't like his drinks. He made the old fashions there. I guess in the book, the one thing that surprised me was Jimmy Carter. It seems his family actually did a lot of wine on the Georgia farm, and I didn't know that. And he was a very big into wine. Knew a lot about it. He actually pressed his grapes with like this really old, centuries old press. Jimmy, I thought he'd be a teetotaler, but he didn't drink a lot, but he did drink. I mean, the man was in the military. Anybody been in the military will tell you, you're known to have a drink when you're in the military. A lot of guys, young guys. That's how they get the tattoos, all that kind of stuff. So yeah, it's going to be a fun book. I mean, I'm going to make it somewhat cheap. It's only going to be about 100 pages. Something simple you could read about quick, sort of like my Redskin books. People don't want to read, 500 page tomes anymore. You want to read something quick and simple and, move on your way. And that's what this book will be. Something different. There's no books to write about the Redskins anymore. They've all been done. Team's got to win something before I'm going to write another book on that. I'm not going to write a book about Dan Snider because none of you will buy it. You'll tweet it out and nobody will buy the book, and his lawyers will call me and not interested. Not interested at all. Ooh, is it time to go already? Well, the bell says so. Yeah, you guys love the bell. There's my grandson. For once, he didn't steal it. So, Steve, thank you so much. Steve's always here for me. Next Tuesday, we'll be doing the show. Now, Monday, we've got Christmas. So, we're doing that. Grievance. Hardee's has 6 pieces of candy bacon. No. No, I'm not a big bacon guy. It's too much chemicals on that. Bison for Life, thank you so much for coming. All of you. I appreciate it all. Thanks. I do the show for you more than me. I already talked to myself enough. Thanks, Mr. T. O'Mara and the Grievous Capitalist. Thank you all for coming. The off season, I won't be doing the show every Monday, but I'll do them some Mondays. But I need to take a breath. I'm semi-retiring, and I say that, but yeah, I still work all the time. But I need a break too. I've cut back on radio, TV stuff too. I need to take a breath. And you get old enough, you only have so many times left. I don't want to waste it on. I often said, I hope I don't waste my final years like the Commanders did the last 4 minutes of the game Sunday, because it'll be over in a blink of an eye. I wouldn't got anything done. DC Mark, thanks for coming. I appreciate everybody coming. The videos, the Seasons of Discontent podcast with my partner Matt is up for today already. We got it done early for once. And we come out today and Thursdays, another show, 15 minutes or so, talk about things a little more at length. And then the videos are always up at 6 a.m. on YouTube and when I get up in Twitter. And then around 5, 6 o'clock, whatever, later in the day. So there's more stuff up. We do it every day because you're watching every day. So I appreciate everybody doing that. Hit the thumbs up button on your way out the door. And if there's nothing else, I'm Rick Snider for Rick Snider's Washington. Thank you for coming, and I'll see you soon. Bye, everybody. Have a good Christmas if I don't hear from you before then. Hope you get something you want.